What's up, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny gameplay video. In this video I'm going to be showcasing the exotic auto rifle called the Zhalo Supercell. It's a fun new exotic auto rifle I picked up from an engram after using the Zero coins to boost my chances of getting an exotic drop from Ultras. I used that while farming the Heroic Strike playlist and got a primary engram turned into the Supercell. I also got a Jade Rabbit out of it, and hereafter. So, got a pretty good haul. Been having a lot of fun with all these weapons, but I figured I would showcase the Zhalo Supercell in some PvP gameplay. Now, first, let's take a look at the weapon and its perks. Here it is, and the base skill on the weapon, called the Zhalo Supercell, makes it so that the projectiles fired by this weapon, which are arc, will chain to nearby opponents, which is extremely handy in PvE and only procs occasionally in PvP. Persistence is definitely a must-have with this weapon. I switch back and forth between hammer forged and braced frame in the middle tree. I like the added stability that braced frame adds. It brings the magazine size down to 28, which is still decent. And then bolts from the blue makes it so that double kills with the weapon will charge some of your super energy and will also replenish some ammo in the magazine. It usually ends up being around 13 bullets, which is pretty nice, but doesn't proc very often in PvP. I think that all around, this weapon has become one of my favorites for PvE. It's kind of my go-to strike weapon, and I even used it quite a bit in the new raid, the King's Fall raid. It's really good for taking out a lot of the new taken enemies, especially the ones that tend to bunch up, like the Thrall, and especially the Scions that have a tendency to duplicate. So I think that overall, I like this weapon more in PvE than I do in PvP, but in PvP it's still a pretty good weapon. Now, the Zhalo Supercell skill, the base skill on the weapon, that makes it so that additional damage is done to nearby enemies, it procs occasionally in PvP, not too often, but when it does, it'll usually proc for about 13 damage per arcing shot, which doesn't come out to a lot. It may help prime a target a little bit, but that's pretty much the equivalent of one bullet body shot from this weapon, so it's not a lot of damage. It could be a factor occasionally in helping you win the next gunfight and getting that double kill to make the second main perk of the weapon proc. That will help recharge some of your super energy and give you some more ammo in the mag. But overall, it's not gonna proc much. You're usually not gonna have enemies bunching up close enough for those projectiles to arc to one another. Maybe once or twice at tops in a single match will that ever happen, and not much at all in 3v3 playlists. Except for elimination, I've noticed that people do tend to group up a little bit more frequently in the elimination playlist as opposed to salvage and skirmish. So maybe in elimination you'll see that happen occasionally, but not so much in the others. So overall, it's just a good weapon in close quarters. I would say it's more like, think of it like an SMG than an actual auto rifle with the way that it plays out. The iron sights as well kind of add to that sort of feel. It almost feels like an MP5K. It looks a lot like an MP5K when you're looking down the sights, and it plays out a lot like one, except with maybe a little bit of a larger magazine size. But the rate of fire is pretty stinking high. And you'll see a little bit in this gameplay. The secondary weapon that I'm switching to is the fusion rifle that drops from the Dark Blade boss in the Dark Blade Strike, which is pretty cool that they added that. That there's some added incentive to playing the strikes now. The strike bosses can drop some class marks. They can drop specific weapons, which is pretty stinking neat in my opinion. And this fusion rifle, I'll probably end up doing a review on it later, but I'll just tell you now, it packs a punch. It does not charge fast at all. It's a very slow charge rate, but when it goes off, it's like a laser, and the impact is almost maxed out on this thing, so it hits like a truck. And you can see there, easily taking that guy out. And it has a decent range on it as well. But the Supercell, I'll probably end up doing a full review on this weapon down the road, but for now, I'll just share my initial thoughts on it and feelings and show you some of this gameplay. And, you know, one of the things that you'll see a lot of people do is they'll post reviews, like actual full-blown reviews of a weapon maybe 2 hours after they pick it up. I think it's because they kind of like being one of the first people have a review up, and I never feel comfortable doing that. I like to play with the weapon quite a bit. I think that in order to give an accurate review of a weapon, you need to use it for more than 2 hours. I think you have to take it into end game activities like raids and like nightfalls. I think you need to take it into standard PvE like strikes. I think you need to take it into standard 6v6 playlists. I think you need to take it into even end game PvP like Trials of Osiris. I think that in order to get a solid review of a weapon, there's a lot of gameplay that has to be present there in order for you to have an accurate opinion. So this is not a review. This is just my initial reactions to the weapon. All in all, I enjoy it. It's not really my particular style of weapon. You may know this from my previous gameplay and other reviews and whatnot, but I tend to prefer precision weapons over fully automatic weapons. But it is a fun weapon to use. Like I said, it does remind me of an MP5K. So think of it like, I think it's one of the few weapons in the game that could be considered an SMG. That's kind of how it plays out, so I would highly encourage you to play with it as such. It's a weapon that you're going to want to get in close with, but the only problem I ran into is that this weapon is most effective in these short, mid to short range, and that's also the range at which shotguns can still one-shot you. So you need to be careful about the way that you position yourself, the way that you flank your enemies. You don't want to be really two-dimensional in the way that you actually move around the map with this weapon, because you certainly can be easy pickings for someone with a shotgun that still has shot package, and even some of these initial like first wave year one shotguns. Like I still have a judgment that before they took hammer forged off of weapons or off of shotguns. I have a judgment that has both shot package and hammer forged. So some people are still running around with shotguns like that. So you're gonna need to be really careful about the way that you use this weapon in close quarters. Use your vertical space, get the drop on people. Use your horizontal cover to your advantage. Make sure that you're strafing. Don't just stand still when you shoot the weapon. And those are just some of my initial thoughts about it. Hopefully you're enjoying the weapon. Let me know in the comments section if you have one and how you're enjoying it. It is just a fun and new dynamic in the Crucible for my gameplay, just to switch things up a bit. I'm having fun with it. Hopefully you are too. So thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you later.